Hey, what's up guys? Carlo here. Today I'm doing a review on the Playerz Boxing Spartex boxing gloves. So check it out. Hey guys, Carlo here. Today I'm doing a review on the Playerz Boxing Spartex boxing gloves. I got mine in the white and black colorway, 16 ounces in lace up. You can also get this model in Velcro, anywhere between 10 to 16 ounces, with a total of 3 different colorways you could choose from on the Playerz Boxing website. It's made of a synthetic polyurethane microfiber exterior with a tricot satin liner on the inside of the hand compartment, and utilizes 2 layers of injected molded foam over the knuckles that is medium to firm in density. And lastly, I believe the gloves are manufactured in Pakistan. Now, there's no actual tag on the inside of the hand compartment. There is a tag for the weight, but there's no indicator of where they're manufactured. So my best guess would be Pakistan or maybe even China, where these gloves are made. Now, from a design standpoint for a 16-ounce glove, I'd say that these gloves are right in the middle in terms of overall a size profile. So compared to other 16-ounce gloves, they're not overly huge and they're not super compact. They're right there in the middle, which is a good thing. I think that's a really good thing because you're looking at making a glove that can fit relatively all hand sizes. Typically, if you have a 16-ounce glove that's more compact, people with larger hands might find that to be a little bit too tight for their hands. And then gloves that are too large tend to be larger. They're kind of roomier on the inside of the hand compartment. They just feel really bulky and kind of clunky. So I'd say that this glove, for a 16-ounce glove relative to other 16s, is pretty much right there in the middle, medium size, not too big and not too small. The synthetic microfiber on here has more of a matte finish and has a little bit of a grain texture to it that simulates genuine leather. You do have the Playerz Boxing logo in a gloss that is printed on the back of the gloves, essentially a crown with 3 stars. The back of the wrist support is a flat cuff, and you do have a rubberized patch that says Playerz Boxing that is actually stitched into the back of the wrist support. So this is advertised as a sparring glove, and the good thing is that this patch doesn't have any sharp edges. It's actually recessed into the back of the wrist, so that's really nice. I like that feature that they did that for the design that they're using this glove for, which is going to be a sparring glove. So you do have that patch that sits down in there. Rotating to the palm side, you do have a sparring and training, like I guess you can say kind of like a little information box right here that says multi-layered foam, impact protection, moisture protect, thumb lock security, sparring and training. So it says that right down there in that box right down there. And you also have the 16-ounce weight with the crown on the outside portion. Really nice long laces, which is a really nice touch, as well as having Playerz Boxing and part of the game, which is their slogan, actually printed on the laces. So I think that's a really cool little detail that you typically don't see on a lot of boxing gloves, is they have that printed on the laces. The laces are flat, have a nice softness to them, and they do have plastic tips at the end. So nice little detail and feature there. Back of the wrist support, you're looking at about 1 inch of firm density foam padding with the softer padding lining up against your skin on the inside. The inside of the wrist, you're looking at about 1/2 inch, again, of the same foam, firm density foam on the inside with a softer foam that lines up against your hand. It goes up to right where the black thumb piping is on that side, and you also have it going all the way up to the cross stitching that comes horizontally right above the piping right there. Black piping at the bottom that comes all the way through the palm side. Black piping again at the base of the thumb. You do have the model designation, which is going to be the ST1. It says Spartech in black right there on the thumb. And on the palm, you have ventilated holes right below the grip bar, as well as a couple right there on the inside of the inner portion of the thumb. I'd say that the grip bar on here is nice and firm, a little bit more on the medium side, and when it comes to the sizing of the grip bar, meaning just how round it is and how much you can grip it. Wish that was just a little bit bigger, but it's definitely firm, so which is nice. So overall, a very clean looking glove. I do like the design of this glove, and just in general of Playerz Boxing. The gloves I did a review on a couple months ago from Playerz was my first pair, and I think they do a really nice job in terms of just their overall logo design with a crown. You know, it's not large, not too large, not too small. So in terms of the size on the back of the glove, it looks good. The patch looks good as well. You do have that right there on the thumb, the Spartech. So I think they do a pretty good job. I think maybe they could have gone without this little rectangular box with the information down there. I mean, I get it. They probably want to put that there just so you can kind of keep the boxer informed on the glove, but I think they did a good job in terms of the overall placement of where the logos are at and not overdoing it. So overall, really clean. Oh, you also have the 3 stars right there on the attached thumb. So you could tell that whoever designed these gloves in terms of the aesthetics was looking at the little details, like the little 3 stars right there, the laces that have the logo printed on the laces, things of that nature. It doesn't affect the performance of the glove, but it's more of an aesthetic and a kind of like a personalized thing for those of you that are into that. So definitely a good looking glove. Quality wise, the gloves are actually pretty solid for a synthetic glove. The left glove, when I put it on the scale, actually came in exactly at 16 ounces, which I was really happy about. I was then put on the right glove, and then those were actually underweight by, I think, 0.6. I think these came in at 15.4. So the right gloves are a little underweight by about half an ounce than the left glove, which I was a little disappointed with, only because the left glove was exactly at 16 ounces. So I was like, oh man, if both gloves are at 16 ounces, that's awesome in terms of just weight. And obviously somebody's putting these on a scale before they ship them out to do like a quality check. So that's really nice to see that. But overall, I mean, the material on here they use, the synthetic, is really nice, high quality, has a thicker feel to it. It doesn't feel like a cheap, tacky synthetic that they use. You see the logos are all lined up nicely. The symmetry between both gloves is on point. And as I rotate it around, you can see the thickness of the foam looks good. The placement of the logos on the thumb looks good. And again, the height and the width is right where it needs to be at. Not one glove is wider than the other in terms of the width. You can see right there, piping looks good. Back stitching on the back of the wrist is pretty much the same height. And the stitching as well on the inside looks really good. I'd say that the left glove stitching on the lower portion of the piping is maybe a millimeter lower than this glove, but I mean, you really have to really critique it to really see that. But I mean, other than that, everything else looks really solid. The stitching on the thumb on both gloves looks really good as well. And you guys can see it for yourself kind of close up how that all turns out and looks. So you can see that kind of that matte synthetic they use. And you see for yourself. Inside liner, no exposed foam. I like that color, kind of that red with a little graphic on the inside liner. Palm side looks really clean. Here's the outside edge. Glove is really well balanced. Not too top heavy, not too bottom heavy as well. Outside edge for the stitching. Again, everything looks really nice. Very nicely done. That's the right glove. Here is the left. And nothing glaring, nothing that stands out and makes you think, okay, they definitely screwed that up, or stands out and you're like, okay, they could have improved that, or if there's like a big miscue when they manufactured it. Everything on here looks really solid. Comfort-wise, sliding my hand into the glove. Like most of us, the first thing you notice when you put your hand into the glove is going to be the liner. Liner is extremely comfortable, very soft. There is no areas where you feel like the liner bunches up or creates any kind of friction on the inside of the hand compartment. The thumb position is really good, and the piping is wide enough at the base. My only complaint about the thumb is that it's a bit short. There's a couple of times where I was throwing my jab with my left hand and I felt like the thumb kind of bump the tip, the inner portion of the tip of the thumb. So I definitely feel that the thumbs could be a little deeper. Not by much, you don't need a lot more, but just a little bit deeper, because I feel like this one's a little shallow. But the palm, the wrist support feels really comfortable, and again, the liner feels really good. You do have a secondary grip bar on the inside of the finger compartment that covers the stitching, which I really like, because the more you use the gloves, they break in more, and then it kind of forms to the imprint of your finger. You definitely feel the grip bar. I wish the grip bar was a little bit larger. The finger compartment is a good width. It's not too wide, not too narrow. I don't feel like my fingers kind of collapse on each other. My only other complaint is that they use a kind of an injected foam. Now, it's not as stiff as some of the other rounded, cheaper injected foams like you would find from like Ringside with their IMF gloves, which are just rock solid and just feel really cheap. These feel better in terms of the type of foam they use, but it is still a bit stiff. So it takes time for these gloves to really break in because of that injected foam that they use. That's my one complaint about the foam. My other complaint is that they use that same really solid injected foam that lines up against your hand. So you basically feel, take this right glove off. You really feel the foam right here around your knuckles, if that makes sense, when you have your hand in the glove. Like this portion, I can really feel it, and it's really, really hard. You can feel it in this area too, but it's just a stiffer feeling foam around your hands. Now the liner is nice and comfortable. I just wish they used a softer, more pillowy type foam. That way when your hand is in the glove, it kind of conforms to the shape of your knuckles, rather than it just kind of feeling like there's a little bit of a void because of how stiff the knuckles are. I guess the best analogy would be like if you had a pencil or a piece of like thread, or even the lace. I can use this as an example. If you had this pencil and you put it over your knuckles, you can see right here that it's not going to conform. It's a solid object. It's very rigid, right? So you're going to have kind of a space in between, just depending on the surface of your knuckles and how the shape is. Where if you have something that's softer, more conforming, like this lace, you put it over your knuckles, you can see that once you put pressure on it, it conforms to the shape of your knuckles. So it's more comfortable. I guess that's kind of my on-the-spot analogy I can use that for future videos as well. But that's the way I look at it when it comes to the more rigid type foams they use on the inside. I feel like they should have used something a little bit more softer, even if it wasn't very thick. Just something softer, so your hands are a little bit more comfortable. So those are my only complaints about the glove when it comes to comfort. Protection and performance. This is, to me, is a more protective glove. Definitely more shock absorbent. The only negative I don't like is that because it is injected foam, it has more of a rolled and rounded out punch surface. It doesn't flatten out like some other multi-layered foam gloves that are softer, latex, EVA, horsehair. So you have to put a little bit more of an emphasis on turning your knuckles over. The other bad thing about that is if you over rotate, you might glance the bag or whatever you're punching in it, and it kind of rolls off because of that rounded surface. So those are my complaints about that. Very protective when it comes to shock absorbency. So it does a really good job in sparring, hitting the heavy bag. If you're looking for something that's more protective, if you have sore knuckles, a hand injury, then this padding is really good for that. There's a drawback though. It's just going to be that feedback you're looking for, that rounded shape, not feeling like you're really landing on those two front knuckles until you really soften these gloves up. Those are my main complaints about this glove. But for a glove that you want something that's more protective, then it definitely checks that box off. Cost-wise, these gloves currently retail for $74 US. Obviously, you would have to pay for shipping. I think that's a really, really good price. All things considered, quality-wise, obviously there's a couple of small opportunities I feel like you can do with these gloves to improve them, to make them better. But with the price of $74, this is definitely a good glove to consider, especially if you're starting off in boxing and you're looking at sparring for the first time, or you just need a good training glove. The fact that you can get this in several colorways, multiple sizes, you can get it in Velcro, makes it very versatile in my opinion. And I think it looks really nice too aesthetically. So overall, a solid glove. I think they can make some improvements and make it even better than before, like I have here. And it would make it an even more attractive glove at that price point of $74. So if you guys have any questions or comments, you guys know what to do. Put them down below. I'll put the link in the description box where you can find these Playerz boxing, Spartech boxing gloves. I'll see you guys later. Peace.